Hello, welcome to the Run to Remember Memorial Marathon Podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Fairs, joined alongside race director Carrie Watkins. This episode, the Memorial Marathon's medical director, Dr. Brian Coleman, has nutrition and health tips to keep you training strong and safely. One tip will definitely surprise you. We'll ask marathoner Kat Lisle if she's returning to defend her 2024 win, and you'll meet Mark Ballard, the new president of the OKC Landrunners. The 2025 OKC Memorial Marathon takes place the weekend of April 25th through the 27th. Visit okcmarathon.com and sign up to run, walk, or volunteer. Carrie, we're in February now.
How has this happened?
We're less than 80 days out from race weekend.
Don't talk about it. I thought 100 days was close. Now we're 20 days closer all of a sudden.
I know. It's funny how time just keeps on keeping.
There's so many great plans for the 25th. We're very excited about it. You'll hear some today. Great guest. But we're just excited. We're only lacking Rhode Island, and I'm hoping by the time this podcast airs, Rhode Island is in the registration tank. But Let's see.
And then for the race weekend, you have lined up some amazing legends.
We're bringing all our original legends back, and then we've added a few, Dakota, Meb, and Dina, and we're excited about having them back and just their ability to understand the big picture, national running at its core. But we're so excited they've said yes to come to Oklahoma City. And we'll have our friend Tom Groke back from Boston Marathon that we had last year here on the podcast. He'll be here race weekend. We're very excited about that.
Yeah.
So it will be a different expo to hear from so many different voices.
Right. Some old, some new.
Right. So we're very excited about that.
And then speaking of legends, we have got one in our midst
Can you
today.
believe it?
No.
The cat is in the house.
Kat Lisle is back. She last year was the winner of the women's 2024 marathon. Her fifth time to win, which is just really remarkable. And this is the most remarkable thing to me, Carrie. Her first win was in 2009. So
she just keeps running.
The span of 15 years, and in that time, 3 children. And here we are.
God help us.
And last
do you do
year,
it?
you ran your fastest time.
You know, I think I don't want to miss it. So I want to participate as long as I'm able. So.
Well, when we saw her coming down I couldn't believe it. I mean,
Right.
we're not supposed to have favorite runners, but I kind of do sometimes. But anyway, it was so fun to see Kat coming down that finish line. What was it like turning the corner and seeing those 168 faces? What was going through your mind?
I genuinely did not know that I was alone until the very last straightaway. And I think,
So you weren't turning around looking?
No, and I saw my mother-in-law in the corner, and she just was crying, and she goes, "Kat, you've done it. You did it again." And I was like, "Really?" And I think I was so overwhelmed emotionally just because it's getting, I always knew it was hard to train, and having little kids actually seemed, now that looking back, I'm like, oh, those were the good days. That was when, I had childcare, and
Right.
but now they're aware that I'm gone
Right.
running, and that day actually was my daughter's birthday. And so it was just another thing that, Mom was kind of missing, I guess. And so but they're so happy for me to participate, and they want me to participate. In fact, they're very happy to be aware of what's going on now, because the previous wins, I think they just were so little.
It's pretty fun that you won it on her birthday.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a
she
good
asked, that was her
birthday.
present.
You don't get
She
that
wanted
very
it.
often.
Yeah. Well, and I think as your kids get older, they start to realize, this is kind of
I
cool.
know. It is very fun.
Very
but
cool. And so speaking of birthdays, and I'm sharing with permission that you did just have a big birthday.
Yes.
And you've continued to get faster as you've gotten older. So what do you attribute that to?
I think part of that is I have my husband who's in medicine, also just the awareness that as I age, I'm not harming my body to do this, and so I am motivated to work hard without the fear of something resulting negative. But I also I'm not as afraid to feel pain. I think that before it was just, you don't know what it's going to feel like.
Right.
It's a long time to suffer. And so I think now I'm not as worried, or I don't have a block that happens just because I know, I've done this before, I can do it again, the body will remember. And so I don't know. I don't have really anything that I just am thinking negatively in the back. And I think when you're younger, sometimes there's just all the little thoughts creep in, and you start to worry, and it's pretty, I'm there for the ride and enjoying it. And I would not be waking up every morning if it wasn't,
And he's a runner
enjoying
as
it.
well.
Yes.
And he runs the marathon. And
Yes, he tries to participate as much as he can every year, and
how do you guys do that balance of training and who stays back? And
he is very kind, and so I think that's the answer. Is
Okay.
he really does put mine first, and yes, so I have no other way to say it other than just I have an amazing support system, and even my kids. This morning you're rushing out the door, and I need my fourth grader made the lunch for my first grader, and it's just all these things that come
you're doing
together.
a lot of things right.
Yeah, marathon
it's-
training takes
Oh my
the support
gosh.
of a family
It
for
really
sure
does.
because it takes a lot of time.
And incredible work-life, running-life balance.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the one year I wasn't able to do it, I remember seeing that along the race, all my friends running, and they all, work full-time jobs, and I'm like, man, you got to do it. You just got to wake up and do it. And I think that's part of the battle is just, it's hard to see that vision in January when,
Part of the marathon,
Yes.
right? I mean, it's part of the journey.
yes.
Dark and cold.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
Are you
Someone asked me, they're like, how's it going? Oh, it's dark, cold, and lonely. I said, oh.
You should do it. It's great.
Yes, yeah.
Why not?
Are you a morning runner?
I mean, I have to be now, just I have to be
Right.
at work at 8, and so I think that's part of it. And then when I get home, it's kids full-time, their events and all their things.
Homework and night
So, yes,
duties.
Yeah.
morning or not, so.
Yeah.
So are you planning on coming back this year to defend your title?
Yes, I always, I'm very aware that there could be a wonderful 22-year-old who I have not met that is ready
Or an
to
Olympic
go.
runner.
Yes, so there's
Right.
many
No pressure.
many
Right.
options with the marathon, but I'm always just so happy to be a part of it, and it's I don't want to miss the start line. So I don't want to hold me back from participating. So
Yeah. What would you like runners to know who have never run OKC before about our race and our course?
I think it's so encouraging, and I really feel like it's a place where even if it's your first marathon or you've been doing it for a long time, it's the place I want to go back. You want to do it again.
You do.
And yes, and I think that the course, I just love that there's things to look forward to along the course, and I love all the just elements of the cheering tents, and and the medical tents are some of the most pumped up people too, and so I find it all very exciting, and I don't know, and I've done other races in other places, and I still, OKC is the one I want to prioritize.
So start or finish, what's your favorite?
Start,
It is?
yeah.
Because of the
It's
moments
just
of
so
silence, or-
unique. I think that the moment of silence, it just grounds you immediately. And even if you had bad training, even if you don't feel great that day, you're like, you know what? There are other things going on in life. And this is it's amazing to be here and we made it, but it's also I'm very aware that there's lots of stories happening. And
Yeah.
What about weather? What about weather bugs you?
Oh, I've given up on that one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I have no expectations for the weather, and I never will let it be an excuse for why I can't do something, or because it's the training. Living here, the training is always that. So
Right. You're going to experience.
Yes.
Such a good-
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you're obviously an expert. What tips would you share with runners who are starting their, we're, February, 80 days out. So we're towards the beginning of training.
Yes, I think just not, it's really easy too if you miss a day, or if you miss a workout, or if you miss, you feel like you already kind of did something wrong, to maybe be like, oh, I should just wait for next year, or let's not do it. But, there's always a reason to think that it's not going to work out. And, I've never, and this is the thing that I think I've realized now, is I don't know what's going to happen in this race, but I had no idea. I would never have told you I was going to win last year. And I think that the fact that it happened, I was like, man, it was worth it to do all those days.
Right.
And it was worth it to not give up after the bad day. So I think that, and it's normal to have many bad days.
Yeah.
It's just part of training.
Yeah.
What's marathon weekend like for you? What's your routine?
I think going, taking the whole family to the expo is always fun. Taking pictures just with the kids and my old posters. And they look at them and they
pretty
go,
cool.
they go,
Yeah, that's
oh,
pretty
Mom,
cool.
that's you. And, it's just fun. I love seeing old faces that, just people I run into there that I hadn't seen in a long time. And so yes, it's great.
And have your kids seen the Channel 9 commercial where you're coming across the finish line?
No,
Have
they
you seen
haven't.
it?
No.
You got to see it. It's a great spot.
I've had people at work say, I saw you on TV this
Yeah.
morning. So
great spot.
yes, I will.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you so much for
I
being
know,
here.
and it's
Thank
always
you.
good to chat with you, and
Thank you.
it's fun to follow you along. And congratulations again. On,
Absolutely.
on your
Thanks for-
fifth win.
Yeah, thanks for being a great cheerleader for us as well.
Well, you guys are an amazing support team.
Thanks.
You.
Yeah, well, she'll be another
Gosh.
legend in our midst.
I know, we're so lucky to have some of the greatest winners, and just their spirit and their humility and just their whole attitude about being a part of this race is
Yeah.
always so encouraging. And
And just the return that they come back every year and want to come back, and they prioritize this race.
Mm-hmm. I know, I love
makes
that.
it special. Yeah.
And a mom with kids, as we know, is not
It's
not
not
an
easy.
easy chore.
It's not easy to
which
get
is
that
why
training
you run
done.
and I don't. So and my kids are grown. I'm still not running. So there.
Well, now I don't have to get up quite as early,
Okay,
though, so
good.
it's a little bit easier. So like we said, we're about 10 to 11 weeks out
Yep.
from race weekend, and you need to be training and you need to be eating. And so with us today, we got Dr. Brian Coleman, who's the Memorial Marathon Medical Director and also the Director of OU Family Medicine Residency and Sports Medicine Fellowships. And so he's going to share some of his tips. And he, Carrie, you could either call him a seasoned runner, an experienced runner, or perhaps crazy.
A soldier, a doctor, and a runner, all in one guy.
Something of those.
Something
Good morning,
of those.
guys.
So
Isn't that
how many
amazing?
marathons have you run?
83. I miscounted last time.
And that's a lot. And you just recently joined the 50 State Club, correct?
I did, yeah. I was out in Honolulu in December with, I think there were 7 from Oklahoma City there.
Oh,
That's
wow.
awesome.
Very cool. Very cool.
That's amazing.
So we're going to talk some nutrition today. As people are beginning their training, getting into kind of the thick of it, what are some things that they should be, what do you need to add to your nutrition as your marathon training?
I think that's a really good question. And part of it is not doing a whole lot of different things. I mean, hopefully we're following routinely healthy diets anyway, things like that. 50 to 60% carbohydrates and 15 to 20% protein and healthy fat type things. And then you can increase your calories intake if you need to as you train to help with your recovery after long training runs, things like that. But as far as drastically changing your diet just to run, not necessarily needed, but you can if you want to. I mean,
Okay.
It's really kind of a personal preference.
What's your go-to meal? Prepping and getting ready. What's your routine?
I tend to, and mine through many different trials and stuff like that, I like a hamburger, French fries, Diet Coke, and a diet beer, as I call it, the night before. It gets me carbs, it gets me the protein in the hamburger or cheeseburger, and it's a little bit more balanced. I've never been one to excessively carb load. Just a friend of mine, the first time they tried it, didn't have a great experience. And I don't like tomato sauce very much, so pasta doesn't always do great for me.
What about the hydration side of it? What's kind of, there's a lot of different things on the market, like things with electrolytes. There's like products with other things in them, and you
Right.
hear a lot of mixed messages about the importance or the ineffectiveness of those. What do you think?
You bet. And I think that hydration matters a little bit on distance you're running. You know, if you're running the quarter marathon, or if you're going to run the half or the full, and the length of time you'll be on the course. And of course, here in Oklahoma, if it's 75 or 80 and windy and humid, or if it's 40 and snowing or whatever. So
Raining.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't say snow.
Okay.
So the one weather we haven't had, we don't want to jinx ourselves.
Just sleep. So, but is to kind of train what your preference is. I'm as Mark Bravo has told me, I'm a healthy sweater. So I know when I run, if it's anything over 50, I'm going to be soaking. And so lots of water. I like electrolytes just to replace what I have. The other benefit with the electrolyte drinks is usually they have calories. So if you're going to run for extended periods, you need to replace some of those calories or you'll kind of struggle at the end. So I like some of the electrolyte drinks as well.
And is there like a certain distance or time where you need to start, okay, now I need to start thinking about replacing calories? You know, I'm
Yeah.
going on a 45-minute run. I probably don't need to fuel during that run. But at what point do I need to think, okay, now it's time for me to take some fuel in?
Right. And most of that is at the 1 hour mark. So if you're going to run for more than an hour, you probably need to take in some extra calories for the run, rather than just, if you're doing a 30-minute 5K or something like that, you can probably get away with just water and just to make yourself feel better. But if you're going to run past that hour, you probably want to take in some extra calories. That being said, if you're going to run 90 minutes, you probably don't want to wait until the hour to start taking extra calories. So one of the things that I've kind of tried to remember is, just like you have your training plan, you kind of want to have a fuel plan and a fuel practice that says, okay, I'm going to run a 90-minute run. Probably somewhere between 35 and 40 is where you're going to want to fuel, rather than waiting to the end and getting super behind at 70 minutes and then trying to take in fuel at the end of the 90 minutes.
And you have some strange fuel tips. Or
weird.
Coleman's weird fuel trips. So share those.
And that really came from one of the races I was at, and I'm really bad about, I don't take things when I run. I don't carry my own hydration bottles. I don't carry my own goo or gel packs or any of that most of the time. So
You don't at all.
I don't, and it's just how I've done it. I don't know if that's because I'm cheap or just lazy. But so I was at a race, and they had granola bars as one of the snacks. Put that in my cheek and just thought, well, I'll just put it in my cheek and go. And as I got it, started breaking apart, and I was about to choke to death. So I switched personally to Jolly Ranchers because I can put it in the side of my mouth. It's 20 to 40 calories. It keeps my mouth kind of wet and feeling like I'm doing stuff, but also has the calories. I mentioned that to some friends of mine who ran, and they have switched to Nerd Clusters.
This is all the rage right now.
Which is a candy that I had never even heard of. And when you look at it, a Jolly Rancher has 20 to 40 calories. I also use Snickers because I like the chocolate, and it's a quick sugar that melts and you can still keep it in the side. But they use Nerd Clusters, which have about 100 calories, which is almost identical to what a goo pack has. So, we could have our race crews put out Nerd packets, I guess, instead of goo at their stops.
Or these neighborhoods who want to get things out. They can
That's a
pass
great
out
idea. They could pass out nerd clusters.
right.
So, again, it was just something new that I had heard of. And
Well, and what I've heard about it too is it's kind of less expensive. So some of the fueling products that are sold at the running stores and stuff are pretty expensive.
Right.
And these, if you're doing long runs weekly, that it can start to add up when you're.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So
And Jolly Ranchers are too.
Yeah. You have what's your one hard rule about race day?
don't do anything new. Absolutely don't decide, oh, it's going to be, someone said to carb load, so I'm going to eat 3 pounds of spaghetti 4 hours before the race. If you've not done that, if you've done it before, that's great. And that's how you fuel, then that's great. Mm-hmm. But don't do brand new things. And that's why we have now 10 or 11 weeks to kind of practice what you like. And, practice what you eat on a Friday or Saturday night before your long training runs. And then the other thing I would say during the training period is practice what it is that you enjoy for recovery. Because after a 14 or 20 mile training run, you want to be able to recover so that on Tuesday you can get back out and start your runs again, rather than, I did 18 miles, now I got to take off till next Sunday to do anything else.
To recover.
So we can't have you in the house, Dr. Coleman, without asking about pain at this pace in the training or a minor injury. What is your tip for runners who are starting to experience some body aches that are not the flu?
You bet. Yeah. And part of that is with those things, because you're going to be sore when you start at least when I started running, getting into double-digit miles, it was a mental thing, but it was also the next day soreness. Mm-hmm. And as long as it's a next day soreness, that's okay. If it's dragging on, or when you start kind of stretching and loosening up the next day, if it does not resolve over the course of a couple days, you need to kind of either back down a little bit or have it looked at and evaluated so that you can make sure it's not a injury as opposed to a soreness.
And you can get it worked on or whatever before we get too far down the road.
Yeah, because we still have plenty of time to get alterations or things in training or get things looked at and fixed, or, I've had races where I've had to bump down to the next lower because I just wasn't ready or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to you and so many of your medical volunteers
Yeah.
who step up to help. Race weekend.
400 to 500 medical professionals
It's
that
incredible.
volunteer.
If you see these medical tents, as Kat said, they are all over the course, and the finish line is like a mass unit that it's
is.
unlike, it's unreal.
Yeah.
And I always love walking in there and watching those guys and gals work their magic, and
And I
it's
will-
always better when it's empty.
And I will, yeah, it's always better when it's empty and when it's nice. And I know cool is not necessarily great for our spectators, but I tell our medical volunteers, we want to be uncomfortable.
Right.
Like 40 degrees or 45 is
the
fantastic
best.
in the medical tent. But I will say also that our medical tent presence is as good as I've seen.
Agree.
And going all over
Been
the
all over.
country and doing stuff. Where we are, how we're set up, how we go through the park, how we're on the course, it is as good as anywhere that I've been.
Well, we're lucky to have you. Thank
Yeah.
you. We hear that from folks who come in all the time, and I'm anxious to get these new Olympic legends in to see Oklahoma
Yeah, so
City
they
and
can see how we do
to
it
show
here.
show them the Oklahoma standard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You bet. Thank you.
That's pretty amazing to have 400 to 500 medical
Unbelievable.
volunteers.
And they're all medical doctors, nurses, PAs. I mean, they are trained, licensed professionals who are doing remarkable work.
Yeah.
And give up their weekend. It's Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
So they're
For sure.
they're pulling a long week.
For more than a decade, Continental Resources has been a valued partner of the Memorial Marathon. Continental's employees have been instrumental in providing a true celebration of life for runners and the entire community at the Finish Line Festival.
Hello, my name is Blue Halsey. On behalf of Continental Resources, we are honored to be part of the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon. This marathon is about celebrating life, cherishing memories of loved ones, and acknowledging the resilience of this wonderful community we all call home. This Oklahoma tradition offers strength, peace, and hope to all Americans. Continental Resources wishes all the participants the best of luck in the Run to Remember, and I look forward to seeing you on the course.
So right now, runners are trying to figure out if they should train alone or train in a group, and our next guest is here to guide us about the many advantages of training in a group. Welcome, Mark Ballard. You're the new president of the Landrunners Oklahoma City Running Club.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a long relationship with the Landrunners, and you guys are a huge supporter of the Memorial Marathon. So just tell us a little bit about your running club.
Well, we are the oldest and largest running club in the state of Oklahoma. We've been around since 1974.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a long time. So we've been supporting health and fitness of all ages, all abilities for a very, very long time.
And so what are the benefits to a runner of joining a group like yours?
So many benefits, let me tell you, because I started out as a runner solo, and I tell you, having the connection with community of other runners with a shared purpose, it just makes the process of running and becoming a better runner so much easier when you have a community of people that shares your values, that wants to improve each other. It's just amazing.
And you guys run every weekend.
We do. We have our long runs every Saturday, and we easily have anywhere from about 50 to 150 runners show up of all abilities. And so we encourage people, especially new runners, to show up and join us and make connections. And it just makes the ability to run out there and enjoy the nature and just connecting with other people, the experience so much better when you're able to connect with other people.
And it's nice to have, when you're doing a long run, to be in a group versus
my
by
gosh.
yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
from a safety standpoint, it feels
And
a little bit
accountability
better.
and just showing
Sure.
up and
Yeah.
absolutely. I love coming in on Saturday morning sometimes quietly to go to work and just watching all these
I do
runners
too.
downtown. It's one of my favorite things just to see the marathon shirts out, but it's the land runners who are out there leading them on Saturday morning, and it's one of my favorite things.
One of the best sights around the city,
Absolutely.
right? Seeing a bunch of runners running around.
And you all train for both the half and the full.
Yes.
So you kind of run two routes on Saturday mornings.
That is correct. That is correct. We'll have the two routes, so that way we give our runners options. And also, even if they're walkers, we encourage people to come out and join us to walk the course. So we do everything that we can to support our runners, whether it's the volunteer water stops that we provide for our longer runs, And it's a great opportunity too for runners to try out the nerd clusters on
Sure.
a long run.
Right.
Make sure their tummies can handle that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I encourage runners to try out different nutrition strategies on one of our long runs.
And your runners bring their own hydration bottles.
Correct.
And you guys have water stationed around. Where do you guys train? Different places, different times, or?
Yeah, we try to be mindful of where everyone lives. So we've been focused on a central meeting location, like around Sizzletail Park, for example. Sometimes we'll shift our location up to Lake Hefner, for example. But we try to have a centrally located place, and we also try to, especially with the longer runs, we try to hit parts of the marathon course. So that way, runners gain some familiarity of the course and what to expect come race day.
What do you love about the Landrunners group?
Oh, I tell you, it's one of those things where when you have so many people of so many different backgrounds, but they're all have this shared goal of improving themselves, improving their fitness, and to be able to have that camaraderie, that support system to help you through your running journey. It's just amazing.
So will you be running race day weekend, or will you be in more of a support role that weekend?
That's a great question, Kristen. I like to wait until weeks out because I do enjoy training just for the sake of training, not necessarily for a race. And then if my body feels like I can do something on race day and give it my good effort, then I will certainly sign up. But I try to at least do the half.
Yeah.
How do runners connect with the Land Runners?
So they can find us on social media, OKC Landrunners, like Facebook and Instagram are our two primary outlets.
Right.
OKCrunning.org is our website, and then I encourage people to sign up for our newsletter to get updates on our training runs. It's open to everyone. You do not have to be a member to join us, and I encourage everyone to just come out and show up and run with us, pretty much.
Yeah,
Gosh.
I've run with them a few times for some long runs, and it is a very encouraging and welcoming group, for sure.
And it's free.
It's free. That's
It's
right.
amazing.
That's right. And
Yeah.
we are very welcoming. So.
Yeah.
What a great group of folks. They have been on this journey with us since day one, and I think we've been mutually beneficial to each other, but it's
Sure.
so great to have their help and their encouragement along the way. So thank you guys for being
Yeah.
a longtime partner.
And we appreciate you. Yeah, we definitely appreciate the collaboration, and I just really appreciate the efforts that we've done as a city. In
Come a long way,
We've
haven't
come a
we?
very long way. I'm just very grateful to see everything that's happened here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
We'll see you race weekend and probably a lot before.
Yeah. On the streets of OKC. You know, it's funny. My father-in-law lives in Kentucky, and he's going to sign up for the senior marathon. I've said it on air, so he's
coming.
He's coming. I've declared it. But he was in town over the holidays, and he said, I never thought of Oklahoma City as a running city, but it was with the start of the year when you were out and you see all the people running, and I do. I think of us as a running
It's
city.
incredible. We recently announced this addition to the museum, and our museum designer, who was with us then,
Yes.
is still with us now, he talked about the changes of the city since he started coming here. And I thought, sometimes we forget how
Right.
fast our city has changed and how much our city has changed. But I always love a national perspective coming in and going, you guys have no idea how well
Right.
you've done this. And I feel the same about the running community. They have figured it out, and it's made the marathon better.
Yeah.
And hopefully we've given them something to work toward, and it's just been a great partnership.
Yeah, it's a
so.
great partnership. So it's just something else great.
But we still need someone from Rhode Island.
Still need somebody from Rhode Island. We're
Not-
going to get them.
Not to keep belaboring that, but we sure do.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff ahead of us.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I know February is going to go by in a blink, and we're going to be sitting here, and it's going to be March, and we're going to be 50 days out, Carrie.
It's the shortest month, and we have the most to do. So
Yeah.
we got to get with it.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's program. Join us next Friday for our next episode. Let us know what you think and leave your suggestions on okcmarathon.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. The Memorial Marathon takes place the weekend of April 25th through the 27th. Sign up today at okcmarathon.com. This is your host, Kristen Fairs. Let's marathon.